I'm here in Medjugorje, and I'm with, what's your name, Father?
My name is Diogo.
And where are you from?
I'm from Portugal.
From Portugal?
Yes.
First time in Medjugorje?
It's first time in Medjugorje.
And
yes.
how is the experience now here in this rainy, thundery night?
It's at least it's fresher than the other days because we got like 37, 38 degrees, very warm weather, and now it's fresher. So
you're more happy?
Yes, for a while at least. Yeah. Well, I'm not soaked wet. So.
And how many days have you been here now?
I arrived on the 23rd.
23rd.
So, and I'm leaving in 2 days on the 30th.
So how was the experience to be here now for the first time as a priest?
Well, it was the first time I came, so everything was new to me. I didn't know anything about the messages or the apparitions. I've heard some people talking that there were some apparitions. I have a brother who came a few times and also some friends. But for me, it was the first time. I was astonished by the amount of confessions on the first day when I arrived. I had never seen so many priests confessing in so many languages. It was amazing. And then I was in the mass as well, and it was very, very impressive to see so many people after the mass staying for the adoration of the Eucharist, the Blessed Sacrament. So, and that I've seen more or less this in Fatima, but not with this dimension. So
it's a bigger dimension here. It's really the confession of the world.
Confessions, for sure, it's huge. Not in Fatima, never. I've seen some adorations like this with many people in Portugal in some retreats. But not in the sanctuaries, unfortunately. So this was a new experience for me. Also, I went to the mountains, so the mountain with the cross and the mountain of the apparitions, and it was amazing because the road was very hard, and I was tired when I arrived. I'm 34, so I'm not that old, and it was interesting to see so many old people doing the effort, doing the sacrifice to get there. There was a pregnant woman as well. There were some people doing the roads, the climbing barefoot. I was in a lot of pain in my feet, but they were barefoot, which was impressive. The sacrifice. It's interesting. I'm studying anthropology, theological anthropology right now, and so this dimension of the sacrifice is something that interests me. So I take it seriously because I really like to get to know what are the deep motivations, the deeper motivation of behind the action, behind the sacrifice. So a lot of people are in pain. They have problems in their lives. Everyone has problems, but some people are going through a living hell sometimes, and it's interesting to know to see that they trust so much in the Lord and in the Holy Mary. So and it's impressive because we don't see this many times in our daily life, even in the parishes. Sometimes people don't have this notion of the divinity, the transcendental dimension of faith, the supernatural dimension of faith. So it's very interesting to see that.
And here. What is your conclusion now? What is this motivation behind the sacrifice? Can you describe a bit what you discovered in your research?
Yes, sometimes it may seem it's a little bit superstitious, but even in superstition I find that the deeper motivation is always a very strong sense of need for connection with something that people don't usually connect with, which would be the Lord. So it's very interesting. Even behind sin, sometimes the deeper motivation for sin is a need and a very strong desire for happiness, and then the people, they eventually try to find happiness where there is none. and sometimes they try to find that happiness in superstition, but still it's a very pure, I would say,
intention.
Very pure intention. The really strong need for connection with the Creator. So
I think that's what we all look for, no? Even when we go to New Age, people try to fill this void which is in our soul, this yearning.
Yes, I studied a lot of C.S. Lewis writings for my master's dissertation, and one of the things he actually writes about is he calls it the argument of desire. So people have such a strong desire for God, and then they start looking here or there, and sometimes they find Him, sometimes they don't. But it's always a desire for God. So it's like St. Augustine says. Today is St. Augustine's Day.
Yeah.
And
say what he said.
He says.
My soul only rests when I'm in
Yes,
God.
I was trying to translate it from Portuguese. So, my soul only rests in the Lord. So,
you made the same experience for you in your life?
Yes, I do. I did it for a long time before my conversion. I converted around 18 years old, when I was 18. But I always had a very strong sense of a very strong need for freedom. So I don't know, freedom from what? I don't know. I didn't know. Now I know. So
explain that freedom. What is that freedom you were yearning for, and how is it fulfilled now, that yearning for freedom?
So when I was younger, well, there is a song that actually describes it very well, I think. I sometimes I say it's a song of my life. It's a pagan song. It's the logical song for Super Trump. When I was young, it seemed that life was so wonderful, a miracle, and everything was beautiful. And then they sent me away to teach me how to be sensible. But in the end, it's not. It's a very unnatural way of living, and a very modernist way of thinking. So like there is no supernatural dimension in life, but the soul, my soul, always had the desire to contradict that idea somehow. So I was always feeling, experiencing like what you're teaching me about the world is a lie, and I want to set myself free from that lie. And I found that freedom in God, so in the supernatural life, actually.
Supernatural realm, the eternal realm.
Yeah. Yes, like there is a whole dimension in reality, which is an invisible and supernatural dimension, and it's probably even more real than the natural life we have, the visible dimension of life. So
to somebody who is not in the faith, how would you describe this supernatural realm?
I would probably tell him to, I don't know how to say this in English, give it the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
At the start.
Yeah.
Do not try to analyze it, because some things can only be experienced in the heart and in the mind, not in the test tube, not in laboratory. And eventually when people start walking down this path, eventually they will find that there is more in life. Life can be hell, but when a boy is in love with a girl, he doesn't know why he is in love with her. He simply is, I would say. And so
like that, yeah?
Yeah, it's like being in love with something.
So you had, with the Creator, no? With God, with Jesus.
Yeah.
So you had this experience when you were 18 years old, you said?
Yes.
What happened?
Well, I went to the Thésée community in France, and I had a very strong doctrinal education in not with my parents, but in Opus Dei, in the schools of Opus Dei, which was very, very good for me. But I couldn't do the transposition from the doctrine to wherever kind of...
To apply it in life.
Yeah. When I went to Thésée for the first time, I entered the church, it was 8 in the morning, I was very sleepy after 26 hours in the bus. And when I arrived, there were like 5,000 people praying, singing Laudate omnes gentes, so everyone pray the Lord. And I felt like they cannot all be wrong. So, and probably they don't know as much doctrine as I do, but they are doing something that I cannot do. So I will try to do more or less what they are doing. So I sat on the floor, I started singing, I started praying with them, and after a while I was like involved in the prayer, in the community, so I don't really know how to explain it. It was such a joyful moment. At that moment, it lasted for only a few seconds, but then I stayed for a week, and I could like an earthquake. It was like an earthquake, because the days after, I could still feel the repercussions of that moment.
Like the bell, the swings of the bell, you can hear it in your heart still, no?
So like if the bell was ringing, but then you can still hear the echo from afar, and it was a very strong moment. So when I went back home, and I started going to Mass every Sunday and praying by myself and meeting the youth group in my parish, and it was...
And then was there one moment when you said, I want to be a priest now? How did you decide that, or how is the process? Maybe somebody watching and he's discerning priesthood. What would you tell them?
So I was studying electrical engineering. I was almost finishing. I had a girlfriend as well, and after a while in my parish work, I started thinking that it wasn't enough what I was doing. I was praying and I was singing in the choir and serving as an altar boy, and it was not enough. It was never enough. This has to do with my sense of my desire for freedom, because it was never enough. Even with my girlfriend, it was never enough. And so sometimes I would skip classes and go to the church to pray, because the electrical engineering was not enough. And after a while I knew I didn't want to be an engineer. And there was one moment in those days when my girlfriend was calling me, and I was in the church praying, and after a while I left the church, and she said, "You were always in the church, and one day you will become a priest." Yes, well, that's a very good idea. Maybe I will.
That's what you felt in the heart then, yeah?
Yes, so there were some moments like this. So then I went home and I started thinking, why not? Why not? This was a joke. I told him this. I told her this as a joke, but why not? Then I went to Thésée many times. I started doing my discernment with a priest as well, and then I went to a vocational retreat.
That means the confirmation of your vocation. God says, "Bravo, my son, good done."
And so I went to a vocational retreat in the seminary, and what I enjoyed very much. I did like what I saw during those days, and I decided I should leave engineering and I should break up with my girlfriend, and I want to move to the seminary. So after 5 or 6 months, I went to the seminary. Yeah.
And you seem very happy now. Is that yearning for freedom, is it more fulfilled now in your life?
Yes, for sure.
For sure.
Yes.
The yearning for perfection, kind of also. The yearning for perfection, the perfect love.
Yeah, I try. We always have to do an effort to be perfect.
No, what I mean, that when you connect to God, you feel this love.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Careful, another thunder coming. Careful, coming. So you feel now your heart is full.
Yes,
fulfilled.
it's fulfilling. Yes,
Fulfilling.
yes, for sure.
Unbelievable.
I'm not a priest yet. I'm a deacon. I was ordained a deacon 1 month and a half ago, so I will be a priest in maybe 6 months. And I say it's fulfilled. I say it's fulfilling because it's not yet fulfilled. It's not yet full. I really look forward, for example, to be able to confess, which is something.
You can't do that as a deacon.
No, not yet.
But the process is like if you are deacon unmarried, you can't marry now as a deacon still, or could you?
No, not anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
That means when
I
you
could be married and then become a deacon, but once I'm a deacon, I will not be married. So I will be a priest in maybe 6 months. I don't know. And I look forward to be able to confess, to celebrate Mass, and.
What a beautiful journey. How long did it take to become a deacon? How many years to study?
For me, it took around 10 years.
10 years.
Yes, because I entered the seminary. I was not enjoying the seminary where I was. I left for 3 years. I kept studying theology and working and for supporting my expenses. And after 3 years, a priest from another diocese, not mine, I met him in a pilgrimage to Fatima, and he said, "Hey, you shouldn't quit. You should go to the seminary again and go on with your road to become a priest." And I accepted that, so I went back to the seminary, not the same one, another one. So that's why it took me
a bit longer.
Yeah.
But you see it now, all it's divine will that all this happens?
Yes.
The way it happens?
Yes. I can see the Lord working
in your life.
In my life, in step by step. So
I believe all what you say. And what would you tell people who don't know this? How can they experience God working in their life?
Well, for me, it's all about praying. So I know that when I pray, the Lord manifests in very small things. I can tell a story. I can give you an example. So when I kept studying theology, I went to Rome because I thought if I'm going to study theology, Rome is the best place. So it's the center of Christianity. There's no better place. And I was working and I was trying to collect some money to buy a scooter, a motorcycle. When I went to Rome, I only had that money. I took the money and I paid 3 months in advance in a residence. And I went to the chapel and I said to the Lord in the tabernacle, if you brought me here, now you will have to support me, because if I don't find a job until December, I have to go back to Portugal. And then I went to the university to apply for the course. And when I arrived the bus stop, there was a $20 bill, a 20 euro bill on the floor. It was not about the bill. It was about what it first came to my mind when I saw the bill were the words, nothing, you will miss nothing during your time in Rome. And I stayed in Rome exactly 2 years at no expenses. And when it was time to go back to Portugal to enter the seminary, there was another sign, and God always gave me like small signs like this to go on with my life. So
I believe happened to me. And you pray the Rosary now?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, in Fatima, the lady said to pray the Rosary every day. So that's one
reason.
One reason. I also pray the Rosary because, especially when I'm anxious about something, it helps me to calm down. And also we have the practice to pray the Rosary in my seminary every day. So all the seminarists after dinner we all pray together the Rosary, and it's a very powerful prayer, I think. So when I was still in the university, I used to pray the Rosary in the bus, and sometimes I would see people looking at me, sometimes with a hateful look, sometimes with a loving look. Because somehow people, even if I didn't have the rosary in my hand, I was just praying mentally. Somehow people knew what I was doing. So there was some spiritual connection with some of them as well. So yes. And especially with those that had a hateful look on me, because they probably had spiritual problems in their lives and stuff like that, and maybe demons around, I don't know, but they knew exactly what I was doing.
Unbelievable. And what is for you now? You were here in Medjugorje. What is so special for you in Medjugorje?
I still don't know.
You still don't know. You discovered it.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I'm still trying to figure all this out.
You went up Apparition Hill, up the hill, you went up Cross Mountain, all the mountains.
Yes.
Yeah, you said you went all up there.
Yes, I went there, I prayed for a while, then I came back down. I'm not a very emotional person, so I don't really know exactly what to feel. Maybe I'm not supposed to feel anything. I am just supposed to be there and pray and go back. So
they say also sometimes after going back from Medjugorje to your home place,
yes,
you will see the changes.
Yes, probably, most likely.
You have an open heart. Yeah. You will see. And what is for you confession? A lot of people go to confession here, as we said.
Yes.
And a lot of people are scared. What will the priest think of me after 30 years? What would you tell these people?
For me, the confession is very liberating. So I usually confess to the same priest in Portugal, my spiritual director from the seminary, which is very good because after a few confessions, a few talks, he already knows me. He knows what's going on in my heart. So he knows exactly how to advise me and how to what I should do to overcome my problems. So it's very spiritually therapeutical. Therapeutical? Yes, like a therapy. For someone who is scared, I always advise try to confess the worst sin first, and it's a burden that you take away immediately, and then everything else will be much easier. And if you confess regularly, everything becomes easier. So what will the priest think? I don't really care. So because I don't really care what people think.
That's the truth. And it's liberating. It's for free.
Yes.
It costs nothing.
Yes, exactly. So it's very good. So. In Medjugorje, there is there's always the possibility to confess with some priest that I will probably never see in my life. So I don't really care what he thinks of me. I will never see him again. So it's always a mental trick that someone can think.
You have a favorite Bible scripture?
If I have a favorite Bible scripture.
What's touched you a lot?
There is one sentence from Saint Paul that sometimes comes to my mind, which says, "It wasn't for corruptible things that you were rescued, not by gold and silver, but by the blood of Christ." Something incorruptible. I don't really know the translation.
Something eternal saved you.
Yes. So
beautiful.
Yeah. So
and at the end, what would you tell people? Why come to Medjugorje?
Why come to Medjugorje? Well, at least to get to know Medjugorje, because so many people come and so many people talk about this. But I believe that the Holy Spirit manifests every once in a while, here and there, and if one doesn't find a strong connection with God here, he will probably find it there. So if not in this movement, maybe in the other movement. If not in this place, maybe in the other place. So if until now you found nothing where you were looking, well, maybe look somewhere else.
Like you did in TC?
Like,
maybe
yes.
in Medjugorje?
Yes. Maybe some people find it in the parish. or in the Opus Dei or the Neo-Catechumenal Way or whatever. And some people find it in Teze, like I did. And some people may find it in Medjugorje as well. So if the Spirit is blowing, there is eventually Christ will find you.
So
You will not. I wouldn't say to someone that you will find Christ. I think Christ will find you. So I think it was Don Giussani, the founder of the Communion and Liberation movement, that used to say, for someone who sincerely looks for truth, truth will find him and possess him. So it's
positive.
Yes.
Like you becoming a priest in love.
Something like this.
Okay. So that's also the way to get in connection with Jesus, right?
Yes.
But look for the truth.
Yes.
And to surrender afterwards to His will.
To surrender to truth.
So at the end of the video, Father, can you do a blessing for the people who are watching?
Yes, I will bless you in Portuguese because it's easier, okay?
Yes, sure.
So, por intercessão de Santa Maria, Nossa Senhora de Medjugorje, por intercessão de São João Paulo II, por intercessão de São José del Rio, o Senhor vos abençoe, vos livre de todo o mal, vos conduza à vida eterna e vos guarde sempre em todos os caminhos da vossa vida, em nome do Pai, do Filho e do Espírito Santo. Amém.
Amen. Thank you, Father.
Thank you.